and welcome to the world's most famous podcast. I'm your hostess, Jacqueline Maddison. Today we have a very special guest, Scott Burns, who is a very accomplished voiceover actor and also a voiceover coach. So today he's going to share insight into the industry and what it takes to be a working actor in the voiceover industry. Let's welcome Scott Burns to the show.
Well, welcome to the show. It's such an honor to be with you today. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. It's an honor to be with you as well.
I'm so glad. Well, let's dive in, Scott. Tell me, what sparked your passion for voice acting?
Well, probably watching too much television as a child, cartoons in particular.
Very inspiring.
I think I can remember back to as early as watching the Flintstones on TV, and I had a little toy Flintstone set, the little plastic car, or the rock mobile or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And wishing I could I wish I could have been the voices, to do Fred Flintstone, and I worked on that, and then eventually, was watching Andy of Mayberry, the Andy Griffith Show, and Barney Fife, who bothered me at the time because he was so whiny, but I found myself able to kind of get into doing Barney Fife, and just out of the love of doing parody, and it came early. It found me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of those sort of childhood inspirations are kind of divine seeds that are planted in our very being, those gifts and talents that are God-given, and
I agree.
We have to follow those inner promptings, as you have. So how did you land the iconic role of Bowser?
Wow. Well, okay, let's go from school aged to, well, I guess I'll kind of give you the whole lead up to it. Was that I got into radio. I was interested in radio and hearing, because there was a morning show man. I grew up in eastern Washington State on a farm miles from anywhere. Our nearest neighbor was about 4 miles away. So I was alone a lot of the time. I had to make up my own world.
Right.
But you could hear the local top 40 radio station out of Spokane, and there was a morning show man named Charlie Brown. I think he took the name from the popular Charlie Brown, the Charlie Schultz. But he did a lot of these characters on his show, and they would come in and interrupt him and tell jokes and all that. I didn't know at the time that it was him. They were pre-recorded, or he was able to just kind of back away from the mic and do these. But I became infatuated with that. So, and that grew my interest in radio. So I got into radio and was able to do those same kind of things. You copied, you copy who you imitate. And this is before the internet, so nobody really knew it was not original.
Right.
So my career was in radio, but a lot of the shtick that I did was involving characters, and that's how I kind of got other jobs, was because I did that kind of stuff. I leaned towards morning show radio. Excuse me.
Morning show radios can be very entertaining if you use it as such, like as a talent for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people, guys, fancied themselves as being Johnny Carson. That was kind of the the aspiration to lead up to. So my career took me to Seattle, Washington. Excuse me, where I ended up replacing the guy that I used to listen to in Spokane, which is just another iconic weird thing. I don't know about iconic, ironic maybe. But so I got an agent in Seattle. And her assistant found this assistant, Tanya, called me up one day and said, "Hey, Scott, I found a tape of yours in this big box of audition, people." And she goes, "I didn't know you did characters." And I said, "Well, yeah, that was from my morning show shtick, And she goes, "Well, this is what we should be focusing on." And I didn't know you could do that. I just thought to have an agent in, you just take what you can get. But that was a game changer. And around that time is when video games started emerging on the internet for kids and everybody. And so this is actually 10 years before that. But when video games came out, I was known locally and by the studios and was called in to read for these kid games. In particular, Humongous. There was like Putt Putt Joins the Parade. This is where a little car goes around and he has to earn coins and points and stuff so he can join the parade, And I was the voice of the fire truck and a ice cream truck, all these different little things like that.
Yeah.
So it just so happens too that Nintendo of America was based in Seattle, along with other big game developers. Seattle was kind of a hotbed for that, and I got called in to audition for the first ever speaking roles of the Sunshine Mario characters.
Wow.
They were trying to do more of a cinematic version of the game. It was the Sunshine Mario game.
Yeah.
And I didn't know who, I mean, I knew of Mario and the Donkey Kong,
Yeah.
but I was driving now, so I wasn't playing video games. But they held a piece of paper. They said, we're trying to read for this character, and I'd never seen him before. And they said, well, that's because he comes in at the end of the game and ruins it for Mario. This is Bowser, so he's the king of the Koopas. He's got like a turtle shell on him, but he's kind of a dinosaur-looking thing.
Right.
And I didn't know, so they said, now, this is for kids, so we don't want him too mean, even though he's a monster and he's mean. Yeah. So I just instinctively thought, well, who's not mean to kids? And I thought Santa Claus. So I basically, for my audition, I put a growl on Santa Claus, and it was like, Mario, how dare you disturb my family vacation?
Oh my gosh, that's perfect.
And it was how's that? Yeah. They go, boom, let's do that. And he became he wasn't a mean Bowser. Now he's kind of mean, but
right.
He was just like, oh, no, he was more of a comical character of Bowser. So that's how I got to be Bowser and the first ever speaking role of him, because before they just had people do the grunts and the growls and all that kind of stuff. I did those too, but that's where and my son, who was 12 at the time, I came home with my piece of paper. I should have brought it here. I have the actual spec sheet that they held up, and I said, look who I auditioned for today. And his eyes went just as big as saucers and said, "You're Bowser?"
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. But by the story, it was by divine design 100%. You were absolutely meant to play that role.
It could have gone to anybody. And
right.
I pinch myself and I'm very blessed. First of all, it helps on kind of who you know as well. Wendy Wills, who's the studio manager of the studio Bad Animals, knew me, and we go to lunch and all that. So she specifically asked my agent to have me come in. Now it could have gone to somebody else, but that was a nice perk to have that, kind of thing to get.
As they say, the stars aligned.
Yes, and a couple of planets.
Yeah, exactly, right? In the Super Mario universe, that's incredible. So now, how do you go about approaching, how do you approach creating memorable characters?
Wow.
Is it instinctual? Is there prep work, research? I don't know. What's your process?
It helps. Well, it helps if you have a little research. Usually now they'll show you, they'll have the background of the character already, fleshed out for you and a picture, or a sketch of the character. And that really helps but if they don't, I mean, the thing with Bowser too is he was hunched over. So if you assume the physicality of the character and the facial expressions, if it's a lantern jaw bad guy, it helps to do all the physicality that character would speak. So that's basically what I go into first. But a lot of times too, to develop new characters that you don't even know you have is just to walk around the house and talk aloud. This is a trick I learned from Pat Fraley, who is a well-known voice actor in L.A., and I got to meet him in 1981, and good bonding there. And he would come up to Seattle for workshops and do characters. He's phenomenal. Yeah. But one of his techniques is to find an inanimate object like a chair, and be the chair, speak for the chair. Walk around and talk about what the chair would talk about. And I'm tired of people sitting on me. Just to get into that. The conversational thing that a character would say, because there's more to just reading a script. You want to be able to add things around it and kind of, if the chair has a laugh, that's not always written into a script, what the character laughs like. So when you bring that to the audition room, that's that's a kind of a nice little plus too.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like I think of the Bee movie, and it's like you would have to personify whatever it is you're playing, whether it's an object or a creature, an animal, and make them like a person. Like that's so interesting.
It's acting, you know, and I
Acting.
never have done any stage acting or anything. I did study improv with Gary Austin, another LA legend who founded the Groundlings, and he would come up to Seattle, and I don't know how to explain how improv helps in voiceover, but it really does. It helps you get into a scene and you know, just and react, and the old yes and aspect of improv can help to, you know, if you're in agreement, it just kind of helps move whatever the character is doing along and open your mind. It took me years to realize. Gary would always accuse me, he goes, "You're doing that radio thing." And you're doing that radio thing. And what he meant was that I was trying to go for a joke. You know, I was trying to be funny because I thought that's what improv was. And he was right. I was always I wasn't listening to what the other people were doing as much. And my mind was engaged in what kind of a funny punchline can I get?
Right.
And the
I
minute
see. You were more performing as opposed to like responding or
yes,
reacting.
yes, and it took me years to finally, one day before he came for the class, I go, I'm just going to go and listen. I'm just going to, if I have to just sit on the stage with my partner and just do nothing, which is kind of an improv choice.
Right.
I did that, and it was like, it was magic because I don't know, I wasn't trying for a joke. Sometimes some things would get a laugh without, and I was like, I don't know why that registered with that person,
Right.
but it was like, and unfortunately, by the time I got it, Gary passed away. He had a blood cancer, and he passed away in 2012 or something like that. But so anyway, but I did feel like I had somewhat of a breakthrough, even though it was 10 years later.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think as creative artists, as expressive artists and actors, we're always evolving in our craft and learning how to express in different ways, you know?
Yeah.
And like we as human beings, we're always growing and evolving and changing, and so I think that's natural as artists as well. So what would you say is the biggest challenge in voice acting today?
Well, it's oversaturated with other voice actors.
Really?
That is that's a challenge. That's the overall broad umbrella challenge. But I think the biggest challenge is with ourselves individually, because they're you know, and it's easy to blame AI. Oh, AI is taking all the jobs. It's easy to focus on something that's external, that when in reality it's easy to put the blame on something like that if you're not working, you know. And I will attest to it that, you know, it's like, oh well, like I just said, oversaturated, but there is work to be had, and you just have to kind of let it come to you, and not try to be everything to everybody, and just focus on what you want to do and be happy, you know. I think that's, you know, because the universe or whatever is kind of drawn to whatever you want. I've lucked out. Just as an example, I thought my character work in video games was kind of over in a way, because I've aged out of the genre, or, you know, the demographic of the characters.
You would think, right?
Yeah. I feel that. You know, these are the steps. These are what I was pointing to. And I wasn't in Seattle anymore. I live in Las Vegas now, and Seattle was kind of the hotbed of all these video game developers. You know, even though a lot of them moved down to LA and things too. All of these external things, I thought, well, I'm kind of giving up on it until this a couple of months ago. I have an agent in Atlanta. And she sent an audition, and it was just loaded with all of this non-disclosure forms, and it was early in the morning, and I thought, I just don't have time to fill out all these NDA things, and the specs were so involved. They were looking for specific ethnicities of characters, and I just thought, I'm not Asian, I'm not Spanish, you know, and I about passed.
Too complicated.
Yes, it was. It was just like, I don't have the bandwidth for this now. So until I noticed one role at the bottom, said Southern male, 50 years old, and I thought,
Ding, ding,
oh,
ding.
I'm going to try. I'll throw it. That would be the one I send in.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you know, I got that booked. I booked the job.
Oh,
And it was
perfect.
kind of like, and it was a fun role. Now, their non-disclosure form is robust, and it is very
Wow.
specific. And so I really don't feel even comfortable now. I don't know when it's going to be released. I don't know any, but I will say they flew me to Los Angeles to record. Yabba yabba yabba. So
Yeah.
and that has always been in the back of my mind. Wouldn't it be cool to not only get a job and record in L.A., but to be just to fly
Yeah.
there. And they put me up.
That's a legitimate job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure for their privacy, they didn't want to do it through Source Connect or anything like that. They're very this even it said no pictures of the lobby. Of where they were recording. And as I'm looking around in the lobby, I see a sign up there next to the little camera, the ceiling camera, that says, "Remember your NDA." And it has a picture. It has a like an Uncle Sam pointing at you to
This
remember.
intimidation.
So
Wow.
okay. So that was a case of like, that was something I've always wanted to do. But I wasn't like actively. I mean, I had kind of given up on it, but somebody said, nope, this is yours. So again,
Well, I hear you. It was kind of like a blessing in a way. Like you can let go and let God, and like I'm a Christian, and the Bible says God laughs at man's plans because He pretty much orchestrates things for us. But myself, what I've found is I actually pray for opportunities. What the most powerful thing I've ever prayed for is, God, lead me into the things that you have created me to do. And supernaturally, doors open, the right opportunities, just sort of divine alignments happen that I didn't manipulate, right? And so I find that like prayer helps. Prayer is really powerful. It's like asking God to get involved. And so for me, I found that has been effective in opportunities that I never imagined opening up to me.
And to recognize that. I'm big on the gratitude too, and to look back and go, yeah, okay, hey, thanks again for that. That was
that's so true.
and just thanks for everything. Because it isn't in our you may really, really want something, but no, there's something better, or let's just say better for you.
Well, again, in my paradigm, the Bible says God gives us the desires of our heart. And so there may be something that you desire to do, a certain role or whatever, that's secret, right? It's secret in your heart. It's like a hidden wish, but God will grant that. And that's why sometimes these things show up and it's like, wow, that is just incredible, because that's what I've always wanted to do. And that's like a little God wink,
Yeah.
They're the best.
Going back to our childhoods too, back in the day, again, growing up on a farm, I mean, my entertainment was 2 channels of TV, and we watched game shows like To Tell the Truth, and I was infatuated with the little microphones that they would hold, and so I'd make little toy microphones, and my sister and I would do pretend TV shows. But I was
too.
I was intrigued by reel-to-reels for recording, tape recordings, and specifically the take-up reels, the little plastic wheel hub. And I don't know why, but I took a cardboard from a back of a cereal box and cut out a circle and drew a reel-to-reel hub. I don't know where I saw it even want to do that, but my career before radio really was always I loved recording, and so I'm an audio producer, and I loved tape recorders and and that is like, where did that come from? That was
was divine.
It was. I wish I'd kept it, but and I do remember even making it at the time and just going, I don't know, put little spokes on that, and away you go. So.
Well, thankfully, you still have the memory with you. Those last forever.
That's true. I hope I'm not embellishing them.
No. So now you're also voice coaching, right?
Yes.
So how do you coach aspiring voice actors effectively? Is it just to their particular talent, or is there a method? what's your
Okay, yeah.
your
So, and the way I got into coaching in the first place, it was in Seattle, and this woman who was a former agent in Seattle had come to me and said that the person teaching her voiceover intro to voiceover class had found a job at a local studio as a manager and didn't, wasn't able to do it anymore. And I was on a short list of recommendations. And at the time, I thought, oh, I don't want that stigma of those who can't do. Those who can't
Right.
do teach, and I was, and I know that's an antiquated bad thing, but it was in the back of my mind. I thought, oh man, now my career's over. I'm teaching it.
Right.
That stigma. And she goes, but you're a working voice actor. And I said, yes. And she was kind of she's, and at the time I was also producing demos for people, and I thought, well, maybe this might work into if I teach a class. People are going to need a demo. So,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'm capable of that. So I agreed to teach, a 6-week course for her, and I developed my own curriculum. I kind of went off with what Kathy Levin had done before, but basically commercials were going to cover narration and character. I just kind of made it up as I went along. But I found out I loved it because what it was, you're directing people, and that's what I was doing. I was working for an ad agency, and as their in studio. They had a video and an audio department, so I was the audio production manager, and I got to work with talent behind the booth. That was like the best of both worlds because,
Right.
and it was just basically directing people, and okay, let's try this, let's try that, and just it just grew. And then when Barbara retired, I just went on it and did it myself. So,
Well,
but now I would have some classes at the company where I used to work for. It was a much smaller group, but then thankfully Zoom came along.
yeah, right.
I'm now able to not have to be at a physical. You can just do it from home.
Well, I think though that it was an opportunity for you to maybe tap into a new talent that you hadn't yet discovered in
Absolutely.
directing or whatnot, you know?
I
And
ended
the
up.
other thing I've learned is like as I get older and I'm doing things and we mustn't forget there is a whole generation not beneath, but you know what I'm saying? Like still coming up and they need teachers, they need mentors, they need guidance. And it's like, wow, what an opportunity to serve and give back and have purpose,
It is. It is, and it's so rewarding when you
Yes.
see results and see transformation. I had one guy, and he had been an engineer at a station or something like that, and he goes, I know I'm not cut out for this. I know I'm not, and he wasn't. He goes, but I'm enjoying this so much. And
Yeah.
he was bonding, the class in a group session, especially you get that bonding support group,
Right.
and some of them, this was rewarding for me too, was that they would break out after the 6 weeks were up. They would have their own. They would meet at a library and have their own workout sessions with each other, and it's just like because they loved it so much. But yeah, basically, I'll take the people exact where they are in life, where they are with their talent, and build on that.
Right.
I know that have been coaches that kind of do the tear down thing, and no, that's not it. That's not it.
Right.
You don't have. In other words, you don't have it. And I'm just going. That's so counterproductive. That's not helping anybody. It's like,
Correct.
hey, try this. See what this. Try that. Oh yeah, that works. Brilliant. Even for people who and I've suffered this too. When we're taught to read, when we're children, you see Dick run, see Jane run. You read one word at a time.
Right.
Nobody teaches you to read a couple of words ahead of time and then let your tongue catch up.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. I mean, I say nothing we do is for nothing.
Yes.
It's for our own growth, our personal development, a lesson learned. I say everything is it's either a lesson, a blessing, oh gosh, I forget, or a season or a reason. For everything that happens. So all of it is for the greater good, whether we perceive it or understand it or not.
It is. It is. And there's something about voice actors as opposed to on-camera actors. Let's just, as far as the industry, voice actor has always been such a supportive community of everybody wanting to help each other. And I speak to this because I had done some on-camera work as well in Seattle starting out. And it was whenever you go to an on-camera audition, you go in the room and everybody's staring at their resumes and nobody's looking up. And it's like, oh my God, who's in the room? Oh, he's going to get this job. It was this tense, cold, non-friendly feeling. But then you would go to an open casting for a voice job, and it's like a cocktail party. Everybody, and it was like, hey, how are you doing? And you would go, I probably should rehearse this script here. This is back in the 80s, when you would go into a studio. Yeah. But it seems like, so the voiceover community is a, I don't know, it's just it's a warm, engaging,
and vibrant. Voiceover actors and the talent that comes with that and those individuals are incredible. Some of the voiceovers and characters that are created are just unbelievable. And then you meet the person, you're like, oh my God, that's the person who made that voice. It's like, it's mind-blowing. It's an incredible talent.
It is. And and that's another thing you kind of learn from other people. I don't know if you steal from them, but everybody does. I mean, you pick up even how to perform in a directed session. I mean, some people are very more professional and staid, and they shut up when they're in between the director and producer are talking, and it's like, okay, I'll learn that. I'll quit being so yappy. But you pick up things,
Exactly.
and just, you constantly evolve.
So what makes a voiceover demo stand out? Are those actual? Is it actual work, or are you creating clips for the demo?
A demo should show your range and your acting abilities, but beyond that, it needs to show in a way that you're a working professional. In the old days, a demo would consist of work that you had made, that you had been booked for. So it was a long process, and you wouldn't even think of making up a commercial, but nowadays that's how it's done. So when I produce a demo, I try as much as possible to make it sound like it was taken off the air, like, with all the music tricks. I subscribe to Universal Production Music, so and that's the music that's being used on commercials nationwide anyway. So that really helps, and it's a great library. But to utilize to make it sound like that it was actually produced and you had done that job. Not that you're going to lie and put that on your resume.
Right.
Want to here's how
No, but we're just talking about the actual demo. So you want to create professional sounding audio clips that show your range, as you said. That's awesome.
In an edited format, much like a Pepsi commercial, people having more fun than you'll ever know.
Yeah. How cool.
And other tricks to build contrast, because if you want to showcase some range, you lead with your best commercial, but then follow that snippet with one that's completely different than the one you just heard. Kind of like a movie trailer, how they'll have a chase scene, a buddy scene, a love scene, all of these. I don't know if they're making trailers like that anymore, but it was always that kind of like, oh my gosh, there's so much going on, I have to see this. Right. So that's kind of the concept for a good demo, and even auditioning too. You want to give them things that contrast.
Make it dynamic. Little drama, little comedy, little romance,
Yeah, especially if because if you have a one style, that's going to get boring over. You're going to like a one note thing. So you can break it up by just giving different attitudes and emotions and things like that too. So, and now the big thing too, of course, this has been going on for years, is the length of a demo. It used to be, way back in the day, you would hear 4-minute demos. People would pull 60-second commercials and put them on. That's way, and that went away fast. But the long, lengthy demos, after a while, they've heard it. So it got down to be a minute and a half, and now it's down to a minute. I've heard in LA it's 40 seconds, 30 seconds. So there are some people
that's so quick.
People just put through. I know, with the feeling that the attention deficit disorder or You got you got the producer driving up the 405, and he's got his phone, and they say, you got to listen to this guy, or this gal and stuff. And so they're listening on their phone, and they can grasp yeah, get him in,
So,
Johnny.
so how do you balance performing with coaching? You know, are you still working on your craft, learning, reading books, taking courses yourself, and then coaching, obviously,
I have, yes, I
professionally?
have. I've coached with. I mean, I've worked, have taken coaching sessions in
Yeah,
that. Not so much anymore, uh,
right.
because it's just kind of. I've divided my time. I'm not doing as much. Well, I'm always auditioning, but
Ah, uh-huh.
but also the coaching has kind of taken over a lot
That's
of
great.
my time and energy, and then that has when I get a demo, then that takes even more time and attention and stuff. So.
Yeah.
So for coaching, I mean, I've worked with Tom Pinto when I was making a narration demo. Tom is the best. I've worked with, when I was in Seattle, I was part of the Puget Sound radio group or the voice acting group or something. And we would bring in like Mary Lynn Wistner and Kay Bess, a lot of these really great coaching, people.
Yeah.
And so I did that.
And so your voice is essentially your instrument, just as the vessel is in on-camera acting, your body language. But so how do you take care of your voice long term? I mean, are you drinking tea and honey? I mean, or are you just like, or you don't think about, I don't know, is there TLC for the voice?
Try not to go to any sporting events and yell your lungs out. That's one thing. Uh,
Right.
it's funny, yeah. It is interesting because I'm finding as I mature, there are certain times of the day where my voice changes. I get like a fatigue voice. I can kind of feel it now because for some reason I've been waking up early, 4 in the morning and all that, and that doesn't help. So by noon, it's like by mid-afternoon, I get that voice. But
Well, you know what I will say? I find that when God wakes me up at 3 or 4 in the morning, it's because He wants me to pray or spend time with Him. You know, Jesus used to wake up before dawn and go pray. Just saying.
it's
Just as a suggestion, you might want to
well,
spend a little time with the Lord. Maybe He's got
well,
opportunities He wants to open up for you. He's like, you got to
if
pray right now. Wake up.
if the Lord has if the Lord has a YouTube channel, I'm in.
That's
But no,
awesome.
that is good advice. I just
Yeah.
don't. I mean, I have a glass of wine with dinner. I don't, or a beer with dinner. So I don't do any alcohol, that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
just I love coffee. Coffee is my hope. So I
Mm-hmm.
have that. But and I have it used to be back in Seattle where it rains a lot and it's cloudy a lot. I would drink like numerous amounts of coffee throughout the day, or just and since I moved to Las Vegas, I'm down to like 2 cups in the morning and I'm good. So I think that helps. I know the coffee does it dries out your cells, and so it's good not to drink coffee the day before, the night before you have a voice job. And they always say to drink plenty of liquid, but it's better to do that the day before so you get all that moisture in your cells, not the morning, not the day that you're actually in the booth doing, because they
Right.
do
Yeah, that
nothing but
makes
make you
sense.
burpy. So
So what would be your advice for someone to break into voice acting?
break in. You need a big crowbar. It I would say, even though it's relatively inexpensive compared to other industries that you're breaking into. You're basically you're starting a business, and you have to know that it is going to be a marathon, not a sprint. It sounds tempting and so easy to the old, oh, you can do this in your pajamas, and yeah, you can do anything in your pajamas. You can go to
Yeah.
the grocery store in your pajamas, but there's time investment, massive time investment, commitment to it, a focus of what you really want to do. And people, I just want to, and a lot of people want to get into character work and for games, understandably. And there will be, you need to save up some money for equipment, for coaching, and just to have enough to keep going. A lot of people think I can do this and stop. I can't wait to quit my job.
Right.
And it's like you are going to need some employment, some income coming in, and if
Yeah.
you have a family, devoted to keep you alive while you are
Yeah.
working on that. So, but yeah, basically have a focus on what you don't want to do. Now, you're aware too that if you want representation, an agent they want a commercial demo. That's where they make their money off of you, and that's kind of that's the foot in the door for any agency. Not many all cover characters for animation or games. That's kind of a specific. Not every agent's on the distribution list for games and all that. So that's kind of the third demo you would need. A commercial and a narration demo. And everything is so genre specific now with narration. You have in-show narration for television shows. You have, of course, biography, history, e-learning, tutorial. That's where a lot of the money can be made.
Wow. Well, it seems like there's some tremendous opportunity for those who are seeking to pursue a career in voice acting. And then, of course, to work with you. How can people get in touch with you? How can they work with you as a coach and a demo producer?
Well, I have a website.
Okay.
That's a good start. I think everybody should have. That's another thing you'll need when starting out. You're going to want to set aside money and have a top-notch website made. My website is www.bookscottburns.com.
Excellent.
It's kind of a call to action. So let's book Scott Burns.
I love that. I see how you did that. Very smart. And where are you based? Although people can work with you virtually, correct? Thank goodness for Zoom.
Yes, I've had clients in Australia. Wow. I've had and over in Japan and pretty much anywhere in the good old U.S. of A.
The world is our playground, as they say.
It is.
That's
and
fantastic.
Just figure out the time zones, and I'm very accessible, and that's primarily what I'm doing. Yeah, now is coaching, and
I love it.
Voiceover.
Well, it's like you're sending the elevator down and you're bringing the others up, and that gives our life purpose, and that's a beautiful thing.
Thank you,
Scott. It has been such an honor spending time with you today. Thank you for sharing some of your talent, your insight, and really your presence. And I wish you all the best in your career, in your coaching work, and in all that the Lord has in store for you, because certainly with your unique gifts and talents, He is not finished with you.
Oh, Jacqueline, you've said it so well, and you couldn't have said it better yourself. Thank you so much.
Lots of love. God bless you. Have a wonderful day, Scott.
I will, and a better tomorrow.
Amen.